Welcome to the Nonprofit Network Third Thursday Roundtable. This is a roundtable we facilitate every third Thursday of the month with new topics that help for nonprofits to have training on subjects and topics that are relevant to them. So we were really excited today because we have Tina Gibbs with Ameren Illinois on with us. And we have quite a bit of time to discuss Ameren Illinois grants and then finish up with any questions that you may have related to those topics. So Tina, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tina, tell us thank you. Tell us a little bit about your position with Ameren Illinois.
Okay, so I'm a community relations executive for Ameren Illinois. I've been with the company for 20 years, and I've been in this role for about 11 of those 20 years. And these roles were actually created because several years ago, Ameren may not have had the best reputation, and we wanted to get past that being viewed as just a big corporate conglomerate, and that everybody just thinks about us, you know, when they get their bill or when their power goes out. We wanted to put a face with the company, and that's when the community relations role was created. I've been in that role ever since it was created, and I live in Harrisburg, and I'm assigned to the southern part of our territory. So my territory goes basically from the Metro East. I don't cover the Metro East, just below it, all the way to Cairo. So and that's east and west of.
But we are excited to have Tina back. Tina, thank you.
Did you hear any of my rambling?
We absolutely did. We absolutely did. So we left off right about the time that you were discussing the role that you had with Ameren and how it really evolved into where we were heading into the grant making section.
Okay. I apologize. My phone kept telling me to go off of mute, but I wasn't on mute. So anyway, part of the coming into this community relations role was being out in the communities and listening to the needs of the communities and the agencies that serve the communities. So with that goes our Ameren Illinois grant process. And that is, I think Michelle has a link that she will be sharing with you. That it's the link is actually on our Ameren Illinois website, and the link that I provided will take you directly to the page on our website that discusses our grant process. It gives you all kinds of background information about the Ameren Illinois grant process, and the online application is actually a link that's on that page. So back when I first started this role, we accepted paper applications, and a lot of the decisions were not, they were made locally. And so we found that a lot of our money was going to, and not that it's a bad thing, don't get me wrong, I like golf scrambles also, but we found that a lot of the money was going to golf scrambles and was being used locally by local employees that like to play golf. And so we just didn't feel like the money was getting out there in the communities and helping the agencies, which is what the intention of our grant application is. So on the grant application page on our website, it's going to break it down to the different kind of little subjects, so to speak, the different areas that our grants usually fall within. Those would be arts and culture, civic and community, environmental, health and human services, and then youth and education. To be honest with you, we struggle to find, and this especially in the southern part of the state, we struggle to find applicants that fall into the arts and culture area and into the environmental. The civic and community, health and human services, youth education, we get a good spread of applications in those three areas. But like I said, we really we struggle hitting that, especially that arts and culture. So in 2020, which was just last year, our now this is for our whole Ameren Illinois service territory. So this is not just my Southern Illinois area. This is the entire Ameren Illinois footprint. We donated $2.7 million to local not-for-profits that applied to the Ameren grant online. And our budget is more. They've increased our budget for 2021. They do break it down into different areas of the state. We fall into the southern region of course, of the state, and so we get our own bucket of money, so to speak, as well as the northern part will get their own bucket, the east and the west. So last year there was about $650,000 spent in the southern part of the state. And I think this year we have about right around $800,000 to spend in Southern Illinois. Now that does include the Metro East area is included with the South. Some requirements in order to apply for an Ameren Illinois grant. Of course, you have to be an Ameren Illinois customer. Some of our customers may just be a gas customer and we don't serve them electric, or they may be electric and we don't serve them gas, and that's fine. Or they may be a combination customer where they get both gas and electric from us. As long as you receive a bill from Ameren Illinois, basically, you are qualified to apply. Another requirement would be that you are tax exempt or a 501c3 classified organization. Now, I will say that I ran into some grants that the organization that's applying for the grant may not be a 501c3. However, what they are attempting to do may be with a 501c3 organization. So that is perfectly okay. If say your group is not 501c3, but you're going to hold something that's going to fund the Elks, and the Elks is a 501c3, then that's okay. We can deal with that. There are additional requirements. I know people anytime somebody talks to me about an Ameren Illinois grant, they always say, how much should I ask for? Well, that's a very hard question for me to answer. I do always say that at the $5,000 request mark, there are additional requirements. So under $5,000, you do not have to submit a lot of information that is required when you hit that $5,000 request mark. Now, when you apply, everything has to be included online. You have to include a cover sheet or a cover letter with your application. And then the application itself, I think a lot of times is a little overwhelming. If this is the first time you're looking at it, you may be a little overwhelmed. But really, in all honesty, to break it down, the application wants to know, of course, what organization that the funding is going to support, what you are asking the money, what you are asking for the money to do, and then how much, and 501c3 information, those kind of things. It's really fairly basic. There are some things that we do not fund, and that would be anything that is going to benefit one individual or even one family. The basis of our grant application process is to benefit our customer base. So we really look at opportunities that if we support this particular request, then our customers are going to benefit from us supporting this specific request. That's always the way we look at it. So we're not going to do anything that's going to support a political organization or a specific political candidate out of the grant applications. We're not going to support an individual or individual family, even though those things are important and there are needs there. We look at, you know, how much of our customer base is going to be affected by this grant. Those are the things that we look at. And also, and this one is a little bit confusing. It has on the website religious groups. So just to clear that up, because a lot of times I hear from churches that say that they do not apply because it says religious groups. To clear that up, if the church is holding something or the church is working on something that is going to be open and benefit the entire community, they can very well apply for a grant. So I don't ever want churches not to feel like that they're included in our grant application process if it is something that is going to benefit the community, if they're working on something such as that. The link, like I mentioned, is embedded on that website page. It is all filled out online and submitted online. And I know that is inconvenient for some people. We used to have the paper process and used to be able to email an application in and mail an application in, and this has just really streamlined the application process and made it as easy as possible to make sure everybody gets submitted the same way. No one is getting submitted personally by anyone. It's all, everybody comes in the exact same way, and that is by the online application. Just to give you kind of an idea of some of the organizations that we have supported in Southern Illinois in the past, Heron House of Hope, the Salvation Army in Marion, the Peshard Foundation, several causes across Southern Illinois, Alzheimer's Association, the Mount Vernon Parks and Recreation, Centerstone. Those are just to name a few. That's not at all the entire list, but I wanted just to kind of throw out to you some of the agencies that we have worked with and partnered with in the past. One thing I do want to hit on is that, as you can imagine, the amount of applications that we receive, although our budget sounds extremely large, it by no means allows us to fund every application that we receive. So some are not accepted, and it may just be because of, you know, funding is kind of earmarked for certain things that we have coming, those kind of things. So we receive a whole lot of applications, and after this event today, I hope we receive a lot more, especially in my territory. There's nothing better. That's the best part of my job, is giving away money. So I do want to take this time to just, people are always asking me, can you give me a tip, or can you give me some information to assist? What are they looking for? So I really wanted to just kind of, I can't, there's really nothing I can say that you can put on the application that's going to guarantee your acceptance, but I can give you some tips on what may make your application get a little bit farther in the process. Like I said before, we are looking for opportunities to really benefit our customer base. So the more that whatever you are asking for the grant for is going to benefit the customers in our service territory, that is what we're looking for. So be as specific as possible on your application. A lot of people will put training, or they'll put something fairly generic in there that they're requesting the funds for. If you've got it narrowed down to, we're going to use it for this specific thing, that is way better. The Illinois Commerce Commission oversees everything we do. Every action that Ameren Illinois takes, no matter what it is, the Illinois Commerce Commission oversees that. And that includes our grants. And they want to see where, when we give money out, where is Ameren Illinois giving their money to? So we always have to report to the Illinois Commerce Commission the amount of money that we donate, who we donate it to, and why we chose that organization to receive it. So the better that you supply us with information on how your agency is going to spend that money, the better it is for us to be able to explain why we selected the agency to receive that money when we have to defend that spend to the Illinois Commerce Commission. Also, will this contribution allow your agency to do something that you may not have been able to do without it? If you can let us know that, you know, we're trying to finish a playground, a community playground, so to speak. We're trying to finish a community playground, and we need $2,000 more to do whatever, maybe put up a certain fence or add a swing or anything like that. If this is something that you need, you can be specific on the money is going to allow your agency to do this, that is going to serve the customer. That is what we're looking for. Also, a lot of times agencies will, and it's not that it's bad and it's not that it's not needed, and we totally understand that, but a lot of times agencies and organizations will ask for money that benefits the agency or the organization. And that is not what the grant application is for. So I've reiterated several times, the grants are for the customer base to provide to the community that the agency serves. So we want that customer base to be the one that benefits from the money, not specifically the agency. So always make it about the community. Always make the request about our customer base. And we always like to, you know, I love big check presentations, and I travel around to the agencies after they receive the real check in the mail. Then I follow up with a opportunity with a big check presentation, photo op kind of thing. And that is great, and we always do that, but it always is nice if Ameren Illinois can be included in something tied to that money. So say Heron House of Hope, you know, we'll give them a contribution, but then we'll also go in and we'll volunteer during one of the days that they're serving lunch. So we're able to tie that money to us being at the agency and serving the community. Salvation Army, same thing. We've given them money, and we've also went in and helped with their food pantry on the days that the food pantry is open. So it's always really nice to have us involved in something tied to the agency that is requesting the money. And there is some confusion, I think, sometimes on sponsorships. Sponsorships is a totally different bucket of money than what a grant application is. So if it's an event that you're looking for sponsors, that is totally different than applying for a grant to for the agency or organization to be able to use the grant money to do something. So the sponsorships are separate, and we do sponsorships as well. Not as much as we do grants, but that is something that is out of a totally separate bucket of money. So that's about all I've got. If anybody, I don't know if anybody has questions for me.
We will go ahead and open it up in just a moment for some Q&A. I know a lot of people have sent some questions on the chat, so I'll let them have an opportunity to ask that. But just to follow up on what you just said, for the sponsorship versus the grants, is it the same application, although separate pools of money?
No.
Okay.
For sponsorship, you would probably just, I mean, you can go ahead and fill out the application, and you can explain that you want to tie the grant application to a sponsorship. We can definitely do that. But you can also just, I'll give you my direct email. You can just email me or send me a flyer. something like that to let me know about the event that you're holding and the sponsorship request that you have.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Tina Henson, you sent me a chat question. So if you don't mind, can you go ahead and ask that question?
Sure. Hi, Tina. Tina to Tina.
Hi.
Yeah. So I have a question. I work for the Alzheimer's Association, but we're out of the greater Missouri chapter, but we service 10 counties in Illinois. So in 2019, I tried to apply for the grant, but they had said because my address for my home corporate office is in Missouri, I didn't qualify for the grant. Is there a way that I can get around that, or how do I need to show that we're servicing 10 counties in Illinois?
Do you serve counties in Missouri also?
We do. The whole state of Missouri and 10 counties in Illinois.
Okay. Do you receive funding from Ameren, Missouri through their grant process?
Yes, the St. Louis Walk does.
Okay. Why don't you, I'll have Michelle share my email. Send me an email with that, with your question, and let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do on my end to figure out how we can get around that.
The other thing would be to join with the Illinois chapter and put my 10 counties on their grant application. I thought, and I don't know if they've applied this year already or not. So if that would be something that I would have to do later, or if they have done that. So
I haven't seen their application, but that doesn't really mean anything. I don't see all the applications unless somebody just specifically says, "Hey, Tina, I applied." I don't usually know.
Okay.
So the time I don't find out if someone is denied. I never hear about denials. The only time I find out is when it's been granted, and then I reach out to the agency to follow up after they receive their contribution. So I'm not sure if the Alzheimer's Association has applied yet for this year, but yeah, that could be an opportunity there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Do have one other question. It looks like Erin Camfield. If you could just unmute and ask your question, and if you're not able to, I can ask it for you.
I can. So, hi. So Tina, I'm Centerstone, and our grant writer, she informed me yesterday that we received one in December of 2020, and she wasn't quite sure if we would be eligible to go ahead and apply again, or if we needed to wait.
Great question. I'm glad you asked that, because I think I missed that point that I wanted to cover, is that you are allowed to apply once a year. You can receive a grant one time a year. So since you guys received your grant in 2020, you are able to apply again in 2021. And there are no deadlines, so to speak. Our grant application process is open from January to December. Now, I will say, sometimes the process, just depending on what else we've got going on, could take 4 weeks to 6 weeks. So the application process can be kind of lengthy. But so that's why if you apply in December, a lot of times you may not be approved until 2021. So you just have to kind of, I always urge people, I always say apply as soon in the year as you can. That way we know we don't run out of money, right? And then you don't have to worry about falling into that bucket that you may apply at the end of the year, but we don't get it approved until the next year. So I always encourage everybody to try to apply as early in the year as you can.
Okay, thank you so much.
Tina, just to follow up on that, is there a certain time of the year that your grant making is funded? So at what point do you get close to saying we're starting to run out of money? Is it funded in a certain month of the year?
Yeah, so it runs January to December. So that's why a lot of times if we're close to, also with the, just the time of a turnaround, but if we're getting close to hitting our budget for the year, we may hold some until January when we have a new budget.
Okay, great. And then just as kind of a follow-up with what Aaron asked with how often you can get that grant, what happens if your grant application is denied? Do you have to wait a year to reapply?
No. You can receive a grant one time a year, but if you apply and are denied, and maybe you're on this call today and you think, well, maybe I can use some of Tina's tips and apply again. That's perfectly acceptable.
Great. Are there any other questions for Tina?
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? No.
I can, yes.
Oh, you can. Tina, I had text you about this. Our 501c3 is exempt from doing the 990. And you told me what you would need, what they would need for that. But the application, because it's online, it won't let you go any farther until you put that information in.
Well, I think it's just those certain fields are required that I shared with you. After you filled those out, it still wouldn't let you go?
No, well, the thing is, when I first started it, that was one of the first questions almost after I put in our organization's information, and it asked for that, and then I couldn't go any farther. I couldn't put the other information in.
So it didn't have fields where you could enter those specific 3 questions that we have to have?
No, it wouldn't let me go any farther. I couldn't do anything else. That's what I was texting you about.
Okay.
If you don't put in,
I'll have to check on how you can get around that. We thought that after you filled out those 3 required pieces of information that it would let you go on. So I'm gonna have to look into why that's holding you up.
well, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Tina, I have a question. Maybe it kind of follows up on what Nomi was asking as well. So if you had said that if you're working with a group for a fundraiser, and so you're basically using their 501c3, so in case of Nomi, if they couldn't figure out how to get their 990 in and they asked us to apply on their behalf, does that count as the only one for SICF? Or it's basically an ask of fiscal sponsor, because with other organizations, multiple organizations apply through SICF using SICF as the fiscal agent, but it's not really SICF.
Right, but the check would be made to you.
So that would count the one time then. Okay. Well, that wouldn't help in what Nomi's asking. So, I mean, SICF couldn't help in that case then. So.
Right. Yeah.
Tina, are grant making decisions made by a committee of people? And if so, who is that committee? And is there, as a follow-up to that, is there a rubric or a measurement tool that is used? Maybe number of people served, or what are some of those key things that are used or maybe weighted differently? And I know you touched on it a little bit, but just knowing who's making that actual decision.
The president of the company.
Okay.
Richard Mark is, well, it goes through people before. It goes through a board prior to getting to Richard. But Richard Mark, that's the president of Ameren Illinois, he sees every single request for money. And the reason for that is because of us having to explain our spend to the Illinois Commerce Commission. So he never wants to be hit off guard with a contribution that we made that we maybe shouldn't have made, or is hard to defend. So he signs off on every single grant application that we get, goes across his desk. So that is part of the reason that the application process can take, 4 to 6 weeks, because his schedule is extremely, extremely busy. But this is something that he is all about supporting our local communities and our local agencies, and being able to assist in, giving back into the communities that we serve. So, but yeah, it goes through a process before it gets to him, but he is the final yay or nay.
That's really good to know. I'm sure he has a lot on his plate. So, making sure that those applications are streamlined as much as possible, that you have a very clear goal and objective in mind, and that you are able to verbalize that and have that written in the application would be extremely important.
Exactly. That's why I really stress about being specific as possible, because, like you said, he is going to read that application, and he wants to see exactly he wants to be able to see exactly where this money is going to go and who it's going to support, how it's going to support the community. So, yeah.
One of the great things about the nonprofit network is that we're able to work with nonprofits and to help nonprofits of all different sizes. And so you discussed that at that $5,000 level, there are going to be some additional requirements. And I think that we're probably going to have a few people who would qualify to fall into that range where the grant making they're requesting may be above the $5,000 limit. So can you just discuss quickly what those additional elements might be?
It's a lot of your budgeting, your board members. I don't have all the additional requirements right here in front of me, but it's providing more financials related to the agencies, balance sheets, those kind of things. A lot of more financials for that agency is tied to any request over $5,000.
I personally applied for a grant through Southern Illinois Wellness that we did receive. So we're thankful to Ameren Illinois for that. The process is quite easy once you're under that $5,000 limit. So it does only require a little bit of information. And so I just encourage anyone, sometimes applications specifically for grants can seem a bit daunting, but the Ameren Illinois grant application is pretty easy. And of course, if anyone has any questions, they can definitely reach out to us. But I think under that $5,000 level, it definitely is something that all of our nonprofits would be able to submit an application for.
Yes. Yeah.
And like you said, I'm sure after this call, you're going to see a lot of applications rolling in. So good luck to everyone. Good luck to everyone. Are there any other questions for Tina?
You said
kind
that
of related to that. It seems like we have the same agencies that will apply. They are used to the application process. So every year, like clockwork, they apply for the grant. So I'm hoping with, doing education like this and talking more that we do get some agencies that we haven't been able to help in the past. I love seeing new agencies apply and us being able to help them instead of continuing to help the same agencies year after year. So yes, I encourage you to apply.
With it being a fairly competitive grant process, and you said that we can be awarded one time per year, if we do propose a project that gets denied and we do not receive the grant, are we allowed to fill out a second application under a different project and try to receive it under that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. You can only receive a contribution one time a year. But just like you said, if you apply for a project that maybe doesn't get supported by Ameren Illinois and you have another project come up that you think this may be a better fit, go ahead and apply again. Sure.
If you look in the chat, I asked Byram to post the actual link to the grant application. So that is available in the chat. Of course, if you are part of the nonprofit network, we actually will send out this information along with your contact information, Tina, and probably some of the slides, if that's okay. I know we haven't really gotten to those. Was there anything you wanted to cover on those slides that you really wanted to hit before we're okay?
No, I just wanted people to see the breakdown in the different buckets that we do have, that we try to fit those grants into. And just that the things that you have, just the requirements of being the 501c3, of being or tax exempt, it has to be submitted online, so that way every agency is submitted exactly the same. No one is being submitted by someone personally. It all goes into one bucket, and from there it goes through a approval process, and then, like I said, it goes to Richard for his final approval. So,
Tina, what about
but yes,
a 501c4?
If anyone has an arts and culture, that's an area that we definitely need some more applications to fit into that bucket. I'm sorry, what did you say?
That's fine. So first, just to talk about that for a second, we actually do have a couple of the nonprofits that we work with that would fit in the arts and culture category there. So we definitely will make sure that they're aware of the Ameren Illinois grant process and application, and see if they need any help applying for that. So we'll definitely be able to take a look and help you with some of those areas that you need some more applications in. The other question I was going to ask is, do you accept applications from 501c4, 501c5, 501c6, or is it just a 501c3?
As long as the agency is tax exempt.
Okay. Okay, great. And are there any other questions for Tina? If there are, please just unmute and ask your question.
And by all means, if you have questions about if the groups with the arts and culture, if they have any questions about the grant application when they get in there, or if you have specific questions that you come up with after this, I would suggest contacting me by email. It's a lot easier to get in touch with me and for me to respond quickly by email than by phone.
Great, that's good to know.
I have a question for Tina.
Sure.
Tina, does Ameren service the Cairo, Illinois area?
No, Cairo is a publicly owned utility.
Okay, what
so
about
Cairo has?
Go ahead.
No, they're just it's Cairo Public Utility. So yeah,
right.
No, we're not an Ameren. We don't serve there. Yeah.
So you don't serve any of Alexander County?
Yes, we have other areas of Alexander County, but Cairo is a public utility, publicly owned.
Okay. Right. Well, my question really should have been about Alexander County. That's what I was asking. Okay. That's what I need to know. Mm-hmm.
Any final questions for Tina? I imagine, Tina, everyone is filling out that application right now. So they're probably so busy completing the application that they don't have time to ask a question. They're doing it as fast as they can. Tina, we really appreciate it. We appreciate everything that Ameren Illinois does for the local communities in Southern Illinois and the grant making that you do. I know there are some organizations that really rely on the money that comes from Ameren Illinois to operate in these communities. And so we are so incredibly thankful for that. And again, thankful that you were able to come on with us today and just share a little bit about how that application process works and some of the questions that some of our nonprofit members have. Again, if you have not joined the nonprofit network, please feel free to do so. You can send me an email at michelle@sicf.org. Our network does Third Thursday Roundtables every month. And so these are great learning and training facilitated opportunities for our members. And of course, you have to be a member of the nonprofit network to participate in Give SI. And we've got exciting news coming up in the next few months about that. So Tina, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Next month, we are trying, again, like I said, we're trying to line out. We had a schedule and the transfer of wealth study fit into that schedule, but it was released a little bit early. And so we're hoping to move that up in the schedule. So if you're interested to know what the transfer of wealth looks like in Southern Illinois, how it will affect our communities, and how it will affect our nonprofits, be sure to watch for that. All of our nonprofit network members get emails regarding the Third Thursday Roundtables, and you can find those on Facebook as well as our website. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope everyone has a fantastic day and start working on those Ameren Illinois grant applications.